FCNYC. My name is Ben Chan, and I'm here with Aris Pina, which means it's time to talk about boxing. We do the Punch Zone for HBO. We're the sexiest statisticians in boxing, and props to Jeremy Lin, New York Knicks.
I'm a Celtics man.
My condolences, my friend. But Lin versus Rondo, that's a good matchup.
But anyway, Lin is props though.
But let's talk about some matchups that maybe aren't as good, like the fights this weekend. Let's start with the Showtime card when we have Paul Williams versus Nobuhiro Ishida. Now, Ishida is his whole reputation is that one fight versus James Kirkland, and we have Paul Williams, which the last time we saw him, he was given a gift decision over Aris Lady Lara.
That's putting it nicely.
Yeah. How do you think this is going to shape up?
Well, it just depends to see how much Paul Williams really has back. I mean, Ishida came off an amazing upset against James Kirkland in that last time, which was the biggest upset of the year, and Ishida's still riding high from that. He's tried to get a bunch of fights. Everybody wants to fight Ishida now from that, but HBO in their infinite wisdom, I got to give them credit for this one, they decided, you know what, we're not going to air it. But since there's been a major shakeup, now Ken Hirschman is with HBO, with Steven Espinoza, the former Golden Boy employee, works closely with Al Heyman and everyone else. He's the head at Showtime. All of a sudden, this fight's been green-lighted. Kind of interesting when you think about it. But when it comes down to it, Paul Williams needs to get a comeback fight. He's looking to get back into the mix of things. Ishida seems like a safe opponent. Everyone thinks this might be a fluke. But you have to remember, Paul Williams looked horrible his last fight. I mean, Arislandi Lara landed overhand lefts over and over. Williams' defense was bad. His reflexes seemed slow. He didn't really seem to, have good coordination. When it comes down to it, if the Ishida fight wasn't a fluke and Ishida actually can fight a little bit more than what he showed that one night, Williams might be in trouble. But it should be a decision for Paul Williams. I don't think he knocks Ishida out, but I think that Ishida's fight was a fluke and that Williams should pull it out.
Okay.
But I don't think he's going to look that good anyways. If he fights any more elite guys, he's still going to get creamed.
Okay. So, and then also on the card is a good young fighter, Tavoris Cloud, who probably isn't getting as much exposure as he should get because he's promoted by Don King. And actually, if you get the chance, go on YouTube or go on badlefthook.com and watch the promo video that Tavoris Cloud's team put out. I will just say that the video starts with, and I quote, "I am a vicious champion and I refuse to lose." And then he goes on to talk about his training methods, which he labels kill a bitch. But
sounds about right.
That having been said, we have Tavoris Cloud fighting a guy that not a lot of people have heard about, Gabriel Campillo.
Campillo, this is a great fight. I'm actually very excited about that. Steve Kim highly endorses it. Everybody, if you're a hardcore boxing fan, you know this is a good one. Gabriel Campillo is no joke. He had two great fights against Beobit Shumanov. He won the first one convincingly when he was champion. He lost a very controversial decision in the second fight, and he comes to fight. I mean, the guy throws a lot of punches. He has good coordination. He has fast hands. He's trained by Sergio Martinez's trainer, Gabriel Sarmiento, and he's a very good fighter. He's very well coordinated. Tavoris Cloud, unfortunately, he's one of the most exciting. I can't say unfortunately. He's one of the most exciting fighters in boxing, but unfortunately, he doesn't get that much work. We're in that day and age that you have to get the television networks to give you a date before you fight, and guys just don't stay busy. And Tavoris Cloud, unfortunately, is one of those guys that he's in a division where everyone else is kind of tied up, so he's in limbo, and Don King can't get him the same dates he used to be able to.
He's also a good fighter that
he's also a very good fighter that people want to avoid, even though he's a champion. He still brings no revenue. So Cloud is forced to fight guys like Campillo, which for us is going to be a great fight because it's going to produce high action. But instead of that, Cloud's not going to make the big bucks he obviously deserves.
So how do you predict this fight is going to turn out?
If Cloud doesn't have any ring rust, which he might, I mean, he hasn't fought in a long time, then he should be able to prevail. He has more power than Campillo, his stamina, you see how many punches he throws. I mean, when he comes at you with that violent aggression, it's hard to keep him off you. He comes with a lot of pressure. And Campillo, to his credit, I mean, he's a very, very good fighter too, and if he has a few tricks up his sleeve, he could produce an upset, but I think Cloud takes it.
Okay, and also in action this weekend, we have Vitaly Klitschko versus Derek Chisora.
That's going to be on Epics. And, Chisora, he's coming off a very impressive performance against Robert Helenius. Everyone, including me and you, everybody in the world, even Ray Charles or anyone else, Stevie Wonder, would say that Chisora won that fight, at least 118 to 110, but since they were in Germany, he lost it. And he has 2 losses, but he is a tough guy. He is going to throw a lot of punches. He's not afraid of Klitschko. But will that be enough to beat him? Not at all. Klitschko should stop him within 8 rounds, but Chisora will give it a good effort. I'll give him that.
Okay, and now let's turn our eyes to the I guess the two most popular boxers, the two pound-for-pound best boxers in the world, who are again not fighting one another.
Playing tag.
Yeah. And just for the record, that some people think that the fight might actually happen in November. I'm saying it's not gonna happen in November.
The fight. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I've been basically over it for a while.
Right.
Both guys just had the same thing. No, you're the reason why the fight's not happening. No, you're the reason. I mean, back in the day, people fought because they wanted to fight. For instance, Pernell Whitaker went to San Antonio to fight Chavez because he wanted to prove he was the best. These guys, they're more businessmen than they are boxers in this day and age.
Right, and and we're talking about Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, and it seems to me though as like it's right now it's Mayweather refusing to do 50-50 with Manny Pacquiao. That's basically the last piece of the puzzle. And I think I understand.
Mayweather's too busy on tweeting about Jeremy Lin.
Right, and all right. So I understand you think you're the best in the world, but even if you think you're the best in the world, Manny Pacquiao ain't no slouch. He's a big money maker. You got to do it. I can't see why he won't do 50-50. But let's put that aside. Let's talk about the fights that they do have coming up. On May 5th, before he goes to jail, Floyd Mayweather will be facing off against Miguel Cotto, and they're facing off at the junior middleweight
154
limit of 154. And I've said this before. I think it's an okay fight. I expect Miguel Cotto to come out and do his best. He always comes out in shape. I'm happy he's getting a big payday. I still think Mayweather has too much talent for him. What do you think about that fight?
To be honest, I'm actually in the minority on this one. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than people ever giving Cotto credit for. Cotto has a very underrated boxing array. He has a very good jab. He has good foot movement. He knows how to box. I mean, the guy has been around forever. And I think he's going to give Mayweather a lot of trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if the fight's even after about 5 rounds.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mayweather's going to take it over near the end, but I think Cotto's going to give a great account of himself, and Mayweather's going to have to really pull into his deep bag of tricks. If Mayweather is not really concentrated on this fight because of the impending jailing and everything else, this could be an upset.
Right, and let's turn our eyes to the undercard, or what's reported to be the undercard on this fight. Let's just talk about first Canelo Alvarez, good young fighter, versus Shane Mosley. I'm sorry, was there some kind of groundswell to see Shane Mosley again after he fought Sergio Mora, after he had that one good moment versus Mayweather, and then basically mailed it in versus Manny Pacquiao? I mean, why is this fight going to be on the card? Why is it pay-per-view?
Because Golden Boy and everyone else is trying to bring in the casual viewer. They want as many pay-per-view buys as you can. They already know the Harry Hardcore is going to buy every fight, no matter if Mayweather's fighting my aunt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's still going to buy it. They want to bring in the casual viewers. Everybody knows who Shane Mosley is. And Canelo Alvarez, he's the young up-and-coming talent. He needs a big win on his name. Cameron Cintron's the biggest name on his record right now. Mm-hmm. Shane Mosley, he's still a viable name, even though he's way past it.
Right, and if you're watching this show, it's my opinion that Shane Mosley, while he is famous, he doesn't have a lot left. And
no, not at all. I mean, I would be shocked if if Mosley pulled this off. I'd be very elated if he did. I love Shane Mosley. I grew up watching him. But, his time is his time. He's been way past it for a while now. His last big win was in 2009. That was his last win, actually.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I wish him the best, but I don't think Canelo Alvarez is going to hurt him too bad. Mosley knows how to survive as he showed against Pacquiao.
Right.
But this is... hopefully he doesn't take too much of a beating.
And if that wasn't enough, a friend of the show, P.D. Quillin, good middleweight, should get more fights. He is fighting Winky Wright.
I'm not sure if it's signed yet. I haven't heard that it's completely signed yet. From what I heard, they haven't even really discussed money, but Winky Wright, same thing. He called out Peter Quillin. He wants to make his comeback. He hasn't fought in a while himself. He's still another viable name, the casual viewer. He's not as known as Mosley is, but he's still a known name.
Right.
And he'll still bring additional buys because people are going to be curious. Peter Quillen's an up-and-coming prospect. Golden Boy wants to build him up. He needs a big name. There comes Winky Wright.
Well, Wright hasn't fought since 2009. And don't get me wrong, I really liked Winky Wright. In fact, I thought he beat Jermaine Taylor to be the middleweight champion of the world when they faced off one another.
I thought he beat Fernando Vargas too.
But I just don't think Wright has a lot left.
Well, we shall see. I mean, Winky Wright didn't look like he had anything left when he fought Paul Williams back then too. And Peter Quillen is an up-and-coming fighter, immensely talented, huge power. Mm-hmm. Shows really good ring generalship. I mean, I think Winky Wright could show him a couple of tricks. I don't think Quillen's going to knock him out. I don't think anybody knocks out Winky Wright. Mm. But Quillin should win, an uneventful decision.
Yeah, and my objection over this is that when Golden Boy, when Oscar De La Hoya announced that he was forming Golden Boy and that they were going to be making fights, he said that we're going to make the best fights out there and we're going to give people their money's worth. on the face of it, this doesn't look like a really well-rounded pay-per-view card.
No, not at all. But I find it really funny whenever one of the fighters is out of the good graces of a certain promoter, say when Mosley was out of the good graces of Golden Boy and went to go fight Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya, if you're not following him on Twitter, you should. It's awesome. Oscar De La Hoya went on Twitter and started rambling about how Mosley's shot, he shouldn't be fighting and all that. Yet he's viable enough to fight Canelo Alvarez now.
Right. Okay. And then, of course, we have Manny Pacquiao finally announced that he's going to be fighting Timothy Bradley in June. Timothy Bradley's a good young fighter. He's the man at 140. They're going to fight at 147. Look, I think Manny Pacquiao still has enough talent, whether he has his legs or not, to beat Timothy Bradley. How do you see this fight turning out?
Well, do you remember Pacquiao, Campillo Sanchez?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Could be something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley is very underrated. He's a tough guy. He knows how to use the ring. He's undefeated very crafty. He knows how to adapt. This is a lot tougher fight than people are making it out to be. Bradley's coming in there to fight. He's hungry. This is the fight he's been dreaming about his entire life. Pacquiao seems like he's lost a step. I'm not predicting Bradley to win. I think Pacquiao still beats him, but I think Pacquiao's going to have fits with Timothy Bradley.
Yeah, and something that came out earlier this week, it seems like Pacquiao also has 1 foot, or maybe even more than a foot, maybe like a leg out the door already, because he's already announcing that he's gonna step away from boxing. I guess he's had this religious awakening, and he's devoting more of his time to going to church now. He sold his chicken farm where he used to do all of his cockfighting and gambling, and so it seems like he might retire sooner than we think he is. Usually when a fighter starts talking about retirement, they might not be as focused as they should be on the next fight.
You could be. I mean, Pacquiao has had times where he's had lapses in concentration. Trust me, this isn't the biggest fight Pacquiao wanted. He wanted the Mayweather fight. Everybody wanted the Mayweather fight. But Bob Arum, to his credit, he said, something, we can't make that fight right now. I'll just give you Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley's a fresh face. Does he really deserve the fight yet? He has the best resume at 140, but he hasn't really have a resume at 147 yet. So it is a good fight. I don't think it's going to bring in as much revenue as Cotto Mayweather, obviously, but if Pacquiao's not 100% and his mind's not on the fight, Bradley could pull the upset quite easily.
Right, and let's end the show by talking about some important figures in boxing that have passed in the last couple of weeks. Of course, we had the referee Wayne Kelly, and also Angelo Dundee. Aris, your thoughts about both of those men?
Wayne Kelly was a very underrated New York referee who was very prominent in the 90s. He was the referee actually for the Bolgalata riot.
Right.
And he made the right call on that. He really did, And also he was the referee for the Arturo Gatti-Wilson Rodriguez fight, which a lot of people don't remember. And if it wasn't for him not stopping that fight, the Gotti legend maybe never would have been born. He was the one who knew that beforehand. He had said after the fight, why didn't you stop the fight when Gotti was taking a beating? And he said, something, I've seen Gotti fight before. He was going to come back. Look what happened. Rest in peace, Wayne Kelly. It was a little unfortunate, but at the time, the Vegas referees, Richard Steele, Mitch Halpern, who's since passed away, Mills Lane, they were the ones that were taking most of the attention, but Wayne Kelly was doing his thing in New York.
Absolutely.
And Angelo Dundee, I mean, what else can you say that everyone else has really been saying about him? Angelo Dundee is a legend in the sport from his work that everybody knows from Muhammad Ali and also Sugar Ray Leonard. And, a lot of people don't remember, too, but he helped resurrect George Foreman's career to help him win the heavyweight title against Michael Moore. But you have to remember also, Angelo Dundee cultivated the Cuban fighters back in the Miami 5th Street Gym back in the 60s and 70s and 50s. He had guys like Luis Rodriguez, who's an all-time great, who Muhammad Ali emulated. He had Florentino Fernandez. He had a bunch of different fighters. Willie Pastrana, who he took from a 300-pound behemoth and he cultivated him to a dancing master light heavyweight champion. Dundee was a legend. Been around and just a great ambassador of sport. If you ever had a chance to meet him, you would just know he was a lovely guy, would always take his time to talk to you, and he lived a long life, and we're going to miss him. I'm definitely going to miss him.
Definitely, they will be missed. And two more important figures, non-boxing, rest in peace Don Cornelius,
that's right,
who's the Soul Train, and also rest in peace Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching FCNYC. We'll see you next week.